Hi, and welcome to the NBA G League bubble for a sneak peek behind the scenes with one of the hottest teams in the G League, the Santa Cruz Warriors, who are riding a 6-game win streak after defeating the Memphis Hustle 114-111 last night. We will show you what a practice here in the bubble looks like as they prepare for their upcoming back-to-back games against the Long Island Nets and Austin Spurs. We're going to have a fun time here. It's going to be a very engaging practice, so please feel free to drop some comments and questions and answer some of the questions that I posed to the audience as we look into the Santa Cruz Warriors roster and success so far in the bubble. It's going to be a good one, so thank you for tuning in. Some other players that have made that path. I mentioned there were 7 of them. Mike Taylor in 2008, Latavius Williams in 2009, Chuchu Matabaum in 2011, Glenn Rice Jr. 2013, Thanasis Antetokounmpo in 2014, brother of Giannis and currently on the Milwaukee Bucks, so he stuck around a little bit longer after getting drafted. PJ Hairston in 2014, which was the only time that a G League player has been drafted in the first round, as he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets with the 26th overall pick. And then again, Alen Smailagic being the 7th player drafted with the 39th pick in the 2019 draft. Properly spaced and properly flowing. You want to leave as many options open. You only have 24 seconds to get that shot up, and you want to get the best shot possible you can. So in terms of call-ups, I mentioned we've had a number of call-ups from the G League to the NBA recently. The total number, it currently sits at 11. But again, this will be a shortened season, and there's obviously a lot of different factors going in here, so we don't expect this to be the normal amount of call-ups. Usually you have about 30 to 35 call-ups in a season, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the quality of talent in the G League and the opportunities provided at the NBA level. We have our first prediction. Jeremy Lin or Alen Smailagic will get called up next for the Warriors. So I appreciate that comment, and I appreciate everyone's comments dropping in on the comment thread. We are watching and we are looking. Alen Smailagic cannot be called up, and I'll explain why. Alen is currently on an NBA contract. He is assigned to the G League, so he is spending his time here, but his contract is an NBA contract. So, again, a call-up would be going from a G League contract to an NBA contract. So assignment players and two-way players cannot be called up. But I like that call. Jeremy Lin could be a call-up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is. For anyone who's watched Santa Cruz Warriors games this season, or NBA games, you know a lot about Jeremy Lin and Linsanity. Jeremy has a well-documented career. He has played in the NBA for 8 different franchises during over a 9-year career, including the Golden State Warriors. We recently had the 10-year anniversary of the period known as Linsanity, when Lin played for the New York Knicks, averaging almost 15 points and 6 assists in 35 games, making 25 starts. As a native New Yorker, I remember the energy in the air during that time. The Knicks had been stuck in a rut, and he kind of brought a new level of excitement, a new level of energy, a new hope to that city and to basketball there. I still remember that 3-point step-back shot against Toronto. I remember him battling against Kobe, the Mamba. And now he's on his path to return to the NBA. And the call-ups are well documented. Players who are overlooked at the start, maybe they go undrafted, maybe they go overseas, and then they use the G League as a way to develop their talent and make it to the NBA. But one of the lesser-known paths are the NBA players who don't find the perfect fit right away and come down to the G League to continue to develop, to continue to work on their games, and then try to make it back to the NBA. Something that Jeremy's trying to do. As well as a few other players on the Santa Cruz roster. Jacob Evans was drafted in the first round by Golden State 2 years ago. Some of you out of Cincinnati, some of you might remember him playing with both the Warriors and the Golden State Warriors and the Santa Cruz Warriors in the 2018-19 season. So I was actually able to develop a pretty close relationship with Jacob, as when he first came down here, he was a member of the player pool, which were a group of players that were brought in to be free agents that would be easily brought in by G League teams and signed by G League teams. So he was one of those players, a different type of call-up. He went from the player pool, signed to a G League contract. So I know he was really excited about that, and it was really amazing to be able to break the news to him, to tell him that, hey, he had an opportunity to join the Warriors again. The smile on his face, words can't describe it, and how much it meant to him. And now he's out here working on his game, working on getting back to the NBA. Again, he has both NBA experience and collegiate experience at Cincinnati, where he made it to the NCAA tournament all 3 years. He was there, a 1,000-point scorer at Cincinnati, known for his defense. Was part of the D'Angelo Russell trade, going from Golden State to Minnesota, was then traded to the Knicks. So he's played for 3 different NBA teams. And definitely one of the hardest workers. When I mentioned some of those guys coming in after practice, Jacob is definitely one of those guys where he would send me a text like, hey, can you reserve the court? I want to get up extra shots. I want to put the time in. He knew his opportunity would come, and he's been preparing, making sure that he's ready for it. And I'm happy to see so many Jeremy Lin fans here in the chat. And one thing that's great about having Jeremy Lin here, and it's not just, his chance to get called up or his chance to make it back to the NBA, but he's been able to provide a lot of guidance to the younger guys on this team, help the rookies like Nico and Jordan Poole second-year player, develop their crafts, understand what it's like to be a professional basketball player, because that's a tough transition. And the NBA has a rookie transition program that works with both NBA and G League players, and signed a contract with New Orleans Pelicans. Those were in the 2016 and 2017 seasons. He has international experience. He's played for France internationally in the World Cup, finishing with France as the bronze medal in China in 2019. He played in the under-20 European Championships with France. He's also a former G League champion in 2017, as well as a French Cup winner in 2015. So he is definitely a well-experienced player, and if you've watched him so far, he has made immediate contributions to this Santa Cruz team. So I mentioned that unheralded path from the NBA back to the G League and then back to the NBA. There are currently 70 players out of about 170 that are signed to G League contracts. So 70 out of 170, I will let you guys do the math, who are former NBA players, which just again shows the talent level that we have here in the G League, which has helped raise play and taken the game to a whole nother level. You see Jeremy now instructing some of his teammates, giving them some insight into things that he's seeing, into some of his experiences, how defenses are going to rotate, how defenses are trained. It's not only about the counter, but the counter to the counter, as the chess pieces and the pawns each move in which direction, trying not to show your hand until you get the perfect opportunity. And if you look at most G League rosters, I will actually can say that all 18 teams here have at least one player who has NBA experience. The most would be Delaware, who have 7 players with NBA experience. Again, Santa Cruz having 4, which I would say is about the average. Loving the chat, loving the comments that we've been getting so far. Appreciate the support. Mike Breen, if I got called up to become the next Mike Breen, man, that would be a story. And we talk about the G League being a place of development and opportunity, both for the players on the court, but also for coaching staffs and front office members. As former Warriors coach Aaron Miles was the head coach in Santa Cruz before now being an assistant coach on the Golden State Warriors bench. The current Santa Cruz Warriors coach, Chris Weems, is now in his 2nd year coaching Santa Cruz. He spent a lot of time at the Menlo School in California, as well as some time as a player development coach and scout for Golden State. He's joined by Michael Lee, Anthony Vereen, and as I mentioned before, Coach James Andrasevich to make out the the Santa Cruz coaching staff. As you can see, coaches reviewing film with Jordan and Nico on the side. Coach James giving instruction. Coach Anthony helping run the shooting drills with Coach Michael. And what's nice here in the G League bubble is you have your team traveling parties, and the traveling parties travel together. It is a real tribe, a real pack. It's not just the coaching staff, it's not just the players, but the whole business team, the whole basketball front office. Everyone is here together. Everyone's here working, doing their part. General manager Ryan Atkinson has helped put together this team. This is his 2nd season as the general manager, as he previously spent 3 seasons as an assistant general manager and director of team player development. Atkinson's actually been with the G League for 9 seasons, starting out with the 2013 NBA G League champion Rio Grande Valley Vipers, 1 season with the Reno Bighorns, and then moving to the Santa Cruz Warriors, and he's been here ever since, rising up the ranks. And again, now this is his 2nd season as the GM. And so far the results speak for themselves. A 7-3 record, a 6-game winning streak, the longest winning streak of any team currently in the G League. As the Santa Cruz are firmly tied for 3rd, trying to get a playoff spot. Again, Santa Cruz, you see, running some of their baseline out-of-bounds plays, those set pieces, which can be so key in big late game, end of game moments, or end of quarter, just to get a quick bucket, get some momentum maybe going in before half. And some of the best coaches pride themselves on their out-of-timeout or their set plays. It's interesting to note, a lot of professional teams, they have general sets that they run. They'll set things up, but most plays have multiple different options, and depending on what the defense gives or takes, you kind of need to react. And again, we talked about the chess pieces moving in every which direction, trying to figure out how to counter the defenses, or the defense countering for the offense, and the offense countering the defense's counter. But when you kind of turn silent out of bounds plays or under the hoop out of bounds plays, usually those plays have a set player or a set shot that they want to get out of it, and that's why the teams really focus in on them and work on them so hard. That's a place where coaches feel like they can really implement and execute on exactly what they're looking for. So we've mentioned now the two-way players, the assignment players, the former NBA players. But the roster is filled with 10 players. So we will make sure to mention every single one of them, get you guys a little bit of information about them. So we mentioned Caleb Wesson, the big man at Ohio State. He appeared in 96 games with Ohio State over his 3 seasons there. And just last year, he was ranked 10th in the Big Ten in scoring, 5th in rebounding, and 3rd in three-point field goal percentage. So he's a big man who's got some nice touch. And it's definitely been on display here in the G League as he's shooting almost 39% from 3. Averaging 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. He has been a big contributor for the Santa Cruz Warriors team. One of the coolest facts about Caleb is that he played with his older brother Andre in Ohio State. And I have a... So that experimental rule is very obvious, and you'll see that at every game. So if you're watching G League basketball, something to monitor, something to notice. It's interesting when doing some research there, compared to the 2018-19 season, where it had normal free throw rules. The 2019-20 season had a 3 percentage point worse average across the league. Free throw percentage dropped from 74% to 71%. But that actually follows a greater trend that the NBA had noticed, that players shoot worse on their first free throws than they do on their second and third ones. Sometimes it's good to get that practice one up first, and it doesn't go in, you're able to kind of correct whatever you did wrong on the second and third. And without that warm-up, even that first free throw to necessarily warm you up, you got to hit it right away. It's a little more pressure. Definitely a lot more variability. So the math behind it, for those of you who enjoy some math terminology, the expected value did not change, right? 3 free throws for 1 point and 1 free throw worth 3 points have the same expected value in terms of a probability standpoint. But what does change is the variability and the variance that you could have when shooting just 1 free throw. Jacob gives me a look, smiling over there. He's enjoyed the 1 free throw, I'll tell you that much. So the variability changes the same, and you can have teams who kind of will miss 1 or 2 free throws, and they leave a lot more points on the table than you would do in a regular NBA game. So that can make games a little bit more exciting, can help teams, put more teams on upset alert if they're missing a few of their free throws. And we've definitely noticed a few games this season where a few free throws made the difference. They left 6-8 points on the table by missing 2 or 3 free throws, and all of a sudden, the other team's able to build a big lead because, you missed 2-3 free throws, which wouldn't have that same impact as it would in the NBA level. So that's probably the most famous current experimental rule. One of the most proud experimental rules that the G League has had is the Coaches Challenge, which was implemented in the G League for 3 seasons before finally being passed in the NBA last season and renewed again for this season. So the Coaches Challenge allow a coach to signal for a review. They almost stir their finger in the air to call for the Coaches Challenge. They'll call a timeout. If the Coaches Challenge is successful, they get to keep their timeout. If it is unsuccessful, they burn their timeout. Jeremy, I'm going to hand you the mic, and I'll just tell you the questions. Jeremy, what has your bubble experience been like so far?
It's been unique. There's been a lot of just, honestly, one day feels like a week, and a week feels like a month here, just because everything's so expedited, and like there's so much riding on every game, on every day, on everything, and so it's a shortened time, but actually day to day it feels really long and extended. But it's been really fun so far in terms of just